Welcome to Real Estate U with Lettiann.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Real Estate U with Lettiann. And today we have a guest, Trella Banks. Trella is a seasonal color advisor for Audrey Sealy and Company. I don't think advisor is the right term. Seasonal color specialist.
And actually, I do a lot of design work.
Right, lots of design as well. So people be like, seasonal color, what does that look like? But, you know, of course we changed, and I'm just speeding through because this 20 minutes is going to go really fast. But seasonal color, you're swapping out your mums for, well, let's go back. You're swapping out your summer annuals for pansies, and then maybe your pansies for mums, and then your mums to wait till spring, and then here come the pansies again.
Tulips. Don't forget tulips. They have to be planted in the fall right now.
Oh, that's right. So Trella is a master gardener. And she's also, and that's been like decades, so 40 or more years. And then you've come up with a new name for which I think is super cool. Tell us the new name.
Yes, a girlfriend and I do a lot of gardening together and are just very passionate about it. And we decided instead of gardeners, we would be yardners because we were worried about the whole yard, not just the little gardens.
That's a good point. I wonder if you could trademark that and do something with it. Yardners.
Probably somebody already has.
Makes sense. I don't know. So Audrey Sealy and Company is again another local Kansas City metro business doing residential and commercial landscaping and design work for, I'm going to say, decades.
Yes.
I remember when Pulte was here, and they were getting some subdivisions started, and I think that was like 20 years ago. And Audrey did a lot of their work, as well as a lot of the established developments at that time. So we're going to move on today and looking for your direction with regard to the importance of curb appeal when someone is preparing to sell their home. And I'll interject some seasonal things in there. Because people tend to want to wait till spring. Everyone, wait till spring. It's look at today. It's cloudy. Nothing's growing. All my perennials are dead. So, but in your opinion, how important is curb appeal when someone's selling their home?
Well, when somebody's coming by and you're talking about street appeal, what they see first impressions do really last, and you're going to get some kind of an emotional response from them on your home, whether they think it's attractive or charming. And so that first impression is really very important. When they see the yard or the driveway or the front door or the porch, they're already getting a feeling for how well you are taking care of your home. And so if everything is clean and very sharp and well taken care of, they're going to think, probably the inside is going to be the same. So that makes a lot of difference. You can take care of a lot of different things this time of year. Even though it isn't a prime gardening time, it is a prime time to do some pruning and cutting back and getting things back under control that maybe have outgrown themselves over the summer. It's a great time to clean up the siding. And if you don't want to do that yourself, you can sometimes have a window cleaning company will also do like power washing or things like that. There are a lot of products on the market that you can buy to do your siding and then hit it with a good force hose, and that works well. The driveways.
Can I interrupt for a second? Mm-hmm. So even what about adding a little bleach to a power washer if one wanted to do it themselves? But then you have your plants below, and so is that a bad thing?
As long as it's well diluted, you're going to be okay. And if you go ahead and hose off the plant material after you've done the hardscaping, then that works well.
Yeah, and I love the point about the siding. So I hadn't even had that in my notes, but oftentimes even stucco can have a layer of algae or vinyl siding, and also wood shake siding. All of that gets covered with pollen and all of that kind of stuff. So it makes it so clean. I remember the day I did one of my house, we cleaned. I didn't do it. I had someone do it for me. But my house looked brand new on the outside.
It makes a huge difference.
Just by washing the house.
Just really brightens it, and you can actually see your original paint color.
Yeah, that's a great tip, so I appreciate that. So this is going to take some forethought on the seller. So we've been talking with other guests, too, about people, they think about preparing their home to sell, and then they call their real estate professional at the last minute and go, hey, we're getting ready to sell. How about can we get on next Monday? And then, there's so much prep work. And if they would just allow that additional time, I think it's going to pay off for them with their bottom dollar.
That's right. And they also can enjoy the look themselves for the time that they do have left at that home.
And why not?
Yeah. Everybody always does their projects last minute and say, oh, I wish I'd have done that earlier so that I could have enjoyed it myself.
Right.
Same thing with the landscaping. And of course, when you're talking about landscaping, mature landscaping is really something that can add value to the home. You can do some things last minute, but if you do have some forethought and think ahead and maybe get some trees planted, best time is 10 years ago, of course, get a focal point going so that they have time to be robust and filled out, then it's great to go ahead and get that going early. Because
the larger the caliper of the tree, the more expensive they are. So if one says, oh, some trees would look great there, we're likely going to be here 8 years, let's get them in the ground now. Or you can just spend the $500 and get the 2-inch caliper tree or something like that, right? For instance.
Yeah, it's a good idea to not skimp on trees to get them started because they will have a lot better shape and be a lot more robust if you go ahead and start with it, maybe 1.5 inch caliper at the smallest. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the 5-gallon trees that you get at some of the box stores are root bound and have a hard time getting going or don't have much of a root system. So I would suggest for the shade trees and even some of the ornamentals that you get something of some size so that they have a good chance to get going and you don't really have to pamper them a lot.
So last minute, and I say seasonal because there's different things to do at different times. And in the spring, everybody's got that renewed sense of, oh, we're going to get the outside all fixed up. But even this time of year, so let's say just about wintertime, I'm not sure when this episode will air, but we're in the middle of fall right now. What can someone do on these gray days? Prepare. Say they're going on the market in 2 weeks. What might you recommend that would really spruce them up? What's the most important thing?
I would say that some of the things that are really important are the driveway. Again, that can be cleaned.
You're saying like power wash the concrete?
Yes, the sidewalk. Maybe either clean or paint or change out your light fixture so that it's a little bit more modern, a little more updated. Even something such as the front door is extremely important. If you have a nice front door, maybe just paint it. Or if it is outdated, which some of them can be, go ahead and change that out.
And the hardware,
yes,
please.
And the hardware and your mailbox. The mailbox is very important.
These are some great points.
So, take a look at that. If you happen to have porch furniture, pull that into the garage and clean it really well or restain it or repaint it so that it also looks fresh.
So we're staging the outside of the house.
Yes.
And I was going to say, would that be something you're interested in if somebody was wanting to do that? But there are services that will do that for you because sometimes either homeowners are too busy or they're just not savvy at that, and they need help. And especially maybe with painting a door, they might need a handyman. But contact me, and I'm happy to connect you with Trella or someone who can help you with your hardware and things like that, or suggests a power washing company or something. So we welcome being your resource for all things real estate. So if you don't want to go it alone, just reach out to me. I'm happy to provide you with a vendor or a contractor. So I love these because I'm thinking plants the entire time. I knew you were coming, but that's so important. And I see people, they just think, well, no one's going to look at the driveway. It's a driveway. But it all kind of ties together because if you do one thing, it's going to stand out.
That's right. And also with the summer that we've had with all the rain and such and the insects, there's a lot of insect, we have like wasp nests that have, built them different places. And so
Bird
clean that all.
nests.
Yes, bird nests, yes. And some of them like to perch on your furniture. So get everything cleaned up and swept down and hosed off. And then it'll probably stay nice for quite some time. The other thing you can do is when you're talking about the bed lines is go ahead and sharpen the bed lines of your gardens and along your lawn. You can use an edger for the lawn, which really makes it look sharp. You can, if you just use a V-trench edge, which is just a spaded edge on your beds, you can get that squared away again, because the grass does tend to try and come into the garden sometimes. If you want to do something a little more permanent, you can add steel edging or a good quality poly edging. You can get cut stone edging that looks really nice if it's put in nice and level. There's lots of different things. Try not to put something in that maybe is too fanciful, like a scalloped concrete edge. A lot of people don't really like that.
Stay simple.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you have used something in the rest of your yard, I would say try and stick to the same type materials. Don't mix them up. Like I've seen a lot of places that use manufactured stone on a wall, and then they'll use natural stone somewhere else, and then they'll use wood ties somewhere else, and it gets all very confusing and messy. So do try to pick out a material that you like and that goes well with the style of your home, and then continue to use that throughout the front and backyards.
So you've just painted a picture in my mind of something that looks strikingly clean. I was going to say fabulously clean, but you've got a striking front bed and a front entry that's just clean lines. It's okay that you don't have your things flowering. It's all right. You've got your shrubs trimmed and things are cut back and they're manicured. And then someone, even in the winter, or who knows what the weather does at this time of the year, they can simply buy some mums or buy some type of color to put in a pot to sort of brighten up the front porch or front stoop.
Yes, as far as that goes, mums are great right now, and they will take some of these light freezes, no problem. You can even they have different season mums, and so if you have mums that are starting to wane a little bit and have had it, pull that out of your pot, get a fresh pot and put them in, the late season mums. You can also go to some nice evergreen branches or some branches with berries to put in there for the winter. There's a product called Wilt Proof that will keep them green for quite some time. And I usually do that during the winter at my own home, so that you feel like you still have something living there on the porch. I usually pull my pots in underneath the awning so they don't freeze and thaw. But that works well. A lot of people will even put evergreens in their pots and keep them watered through the winter, and that always looks nice also.
And that's great low maintenance.
Yes.
And you look good, you look seasonal, and it's, like I said, no maintenance. You don't have to worry about the flowers and whatnot. So I have kind of a little bit of a tricky question. So we have sellers often that need to sell their home in the non-pool season, and they have a pool. Mm-hmm. Of course, the best time to show a pool is right in the springtime. Everything's coming up fresh. The mulch is fresh. Everything's looking top notch, and the water's blue, and you just want to dive in. But then people have to sell a house with a pool in the wintertime, or when it's already been, what do you call it?
Winterized.
Winterized, yeah, thank you. Like your sprinkler system. Mm-hmm. What can someone do with a pool, maybe at this time of year that's not open, that really can make it like, oh, wow, that's going to be amazing come springtime?
Wow, that is a tough question.
Just put a whole bunch of pots with evergreens around it and lights to make it look like the party's still going on.
Actually, I tend to go the other way and try to focus elsewhere other than the pool.
It's good advice. Downplay the pool.
Yes, most all pools have a cover
right.
for the winter, and the covers are not beautiful. I did pick out a deep green for mine so that it kind of went with the rest of the landscape, but I tried to position it so that I could look out my family room and not actually see the pool during the winter. And so I have other focal points that trees and evergreen shrubs and things like that the wildlife will like, and be able to watch them instead of putting the focus on the pool, because the pools are beautiful during the summer, and there's nothing like a pool that will bring the eye to your gardens. And the wildlife, the birds just love the pool. And so it's a great thing for your landscaping during the season, but off season it needs to be just in the background, and focus on something else.
That's a great takeaway. That's an absolute great takeaway. I will suggest that, because we're always thinking, well, how can we, showcase that this house has this amazing gunite pool or whatever, and there's an outdoor kitchen, and let's all play and party. But just let it be what it is, and kind of look at the pool as being a bonus. Oh, you also get this lovely pool. Wait till you see it. And then maybe I'll say to the seller, do you have a picture of because, right in the prime of, and I know your pool too, it's always everything around you so you're out there taking a picture.
Right.
So likely that seller is going to have a picture of when things are really rocking in the springtime.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Very good.
Really enjoy it when it's there. Another thing you can do this time of year especially is take some attention to your trees and get them pruned. They're getting ready to lose their leaves, and it's going to be a pretty good time to be able to do that. My favorite time for heavy pruning is March, after they've gone through the winter. But when they go dormant, you can go ahead and do some trimming. Make sure that take a look, stand back at the street maybe, and take a picture, or take a real close look at your landscaping and see if you have a lot of large branches overhanging your roof. Most buyers will not want to have to worry about branches coming down on the roof, and so you may get those trimmed back by a professional tree trimmer. I would really suggest that you get a certified arborist to do any tree trimming that's up off the ground, anything that's large. They really know what they're doing and can be safe in doing that. And
plus they're taking the integrity of the tree.
Yes.
As important as their own safety in what they're doing. Yeah, good point.
Also, you're going to, when you do that, you're going to get some of those leaves out of the gutter. People don't like to clean gutters. And so that's another point that will help them and kind of get things away from the house a little bit. The shrubs, there are a lot of shrubs that can be trimmed back this time of year. The evergreens, I would wait because if you trim them right now, we may still get some warm weather, and they may try to put new growth on, and then it will get burned with the freezes. So I usually try to get all my evergreens trimmed by around the 1st of September.
Okay.
And then you can cut things after everything is very dormant. It's not going to get warm again. You can cut greenery for decorating
in the dead of winter. So
yes.
they're dormant.
Yes.
And it's actually I never really know when to trim. I'd probably call you, or my husband will just be out there. I'm like, no, I don't know if that's right.
Sometimes it's really difficult to trim at the correct time and have the weather cooperate with you and have the time to do it. I work with a garden club, and sometimes we have a garden that we do, and we're not always able to do everything at exactly the right time, because that just happens to be the time we can all get together. So we do the best we can. We don't want to hurt anything, but you can certainly get a lot of your deciduous shrubs trimmed back after they lose their leaves. They're dormant, and then you're all set for the spring. And again, everything looks clean and fresh.
I have a renewed sense of putting homes on the market during this time of year. Andy's telling me we have less than a minute. But what I love about this is we've had a stager. We talked about how important the interior of the house is, staging it. Now I feel like us talking to Trella, that same care and concern, do it on the outside. It's just as important, and if not more important, because that's your first impression. They're likely going to drive by that house and go, wow, look how meticulous that that yard, that landscaping, that driveway is, I bet it's the same on the inside. So
Right, and don't forget the backyard.
Yes.
Have your back patio or deck cleaned up and fresh and decorated just like you do the front. I would say if you have any. Oh, and one other thing I'd like to say is if you are an avid gardener and have a large garden area or maybe a large vegetable garden, you might think about taking that out and sodding it over, because you don't want anybody to come look at the house and think, oh, this is going to be way too high maintenance.
that's a good point.
So
Because they might not have such a green thumb or a tiller or all of that. That's a really great point.
sometimes it can be too much.
Yeah. I'm going to rewind this episode and make notes for timing and trimming. And I think we have some great advice for sellers and even people that aren't considering selling, but like, yeah, we need to get rid of those cobwebs and spider webs and things that are growing out on my front porch. So Trella Banks, thank you so much for being here today. And again, Trella is with Audrey Seeley and Company. They are a residential and commercial local landscaping and design contractor. They've been in business for years. And I know Audrey as well. She's a wonderful person. So say hello to Audrey for me. And thank you for tuning in today. Trella, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you back. See you again.